Hey guys, Jimmy here, and today we're going to be doing a breakdown of the new Mass Effect Andromeda gameplay trailer that was released yesterday at the Game of the Year Awards. May I just say they were a little bit cringy, but looks very promising. So let's just get right into this. End of space, end of Mass Effect thing, I guess. We stop here at the first thing. As you can see, the graphical fidelity on this game is far above everything else that we saw with the other Mass Effect games, and it is way even above Inquisition in a lot of ways. Like Inquisition was a big step forward in a graphical way for BioWare, especially because it seems as though the new engine can handle all the processing power of an RPG along with the graphics, and not to mention BioWare's texture mapping and stuff on the environments has been absolutely like great. And a big thing that I see as an improvement here over the other games that kind of really was distracting to me was with the other games, the texture mapping on the actual characters themselves was like fucking awful. Like they may as well have just been wearing a bunch of jaggy lines. Was how bad it looked a lot of the time. So we'll keep going. If we see here, we see a bit of like what the actual like the state of the infrastructure like that they're building, moving into this new galaxy. You see in this tower over here, we see a few of them around the place. What seems to be a fair bit of them anyway. I'm starting to wonder. I wonder if they're pre-built things they drop onto the planets as a place for people to live in. That would be a pretty interesting concept. And we see here, this here looks like the rings from a mass relay. So I wonder if they're in the middle of building one or something like that. That would be quite an interesting concept. It also stands to think, like, how much do they bring with them on the trip? I'm not 100% sure on that. A lot of different varied environments. Love the desert stuff. It's great. Look at this, man. This is awesome. And once again, we see that tower over there. They led me to believe that maybe they dropped them on the planets with them. But this is all very evocative of that Horizon game. It looks like very same in terms of lighting and stuff and environment. But like, just it's fucking gorgeous, man. It's like one of the better looking games you've seen already. But see here, this like little like base thing here. I wonder. It doesn't look very conventional. Like I'm thinking maybe there'd be like a base building mechanic from like Fallout 4. That would be really cool, considering like your entire job in this game is to like found colonies and stuff. Like that would be really interesting and fun. And like maybe these things here, like I wonder if they're like transmitters trying to like transmit back to the Milky Way galaxy or something. Maybe I'm reading a bit too much into it, but it would be interesting. See, the galaxy map's still pretty standard, but now we're in one cluster, like because we haven't got mass relays. But the Andromeda galaxy is much bigger than ours. Like we have like 2 billion stars, they have like 4 billion. Here is the new ship at the Tempest. Now, if you remember from Mass Effect 1, the Normandy, sorry, was a joint effort between the Turians and the humans as a sort of building bridge after the First Contact War. This looks like smaller Normandy in a lot of ways. It's cool design, I really like it. But it also looks like, when you look at like Asari ship technology from like Mass Effect 3 when you first sort of see that, there seems to be a bit of that in there, so I'm wondering if like all of the council races that are on the arcs, I wonder if they all came together and like built a lot of technology together, like to send off as like, right, they need like the best gear and like the best of what we have together. That'd be interesting. I reckon that's probably what they did. And this cool little base place they're going to. And we see here our first new squad mates. We got a female Turian, which is something that a lot of people have wanted for a long time, and that's pretty cool. And then we have a Krogan, which is also, he was rumored, I think his name is Drac. And that's cool because Krogans are probably my second favorite alien race. I fucking love the Krogans, they're awesome. And I don't remember ever seeing a female Turian until Mass Effect 3. I mean, you guys can correct me in the comments whether we did or not, but it's pretty cool. And here, that's such an awesome scene. This looks almost like a painting when you look at it. So I've screen grabbed this particular photo, and it looks like a painting when you just look at it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
And we just sort of see some of the environments here. Like, once again, what did they bring with them? Or are they all just building this? Like, I can't explain. It's going to be cool. I hope they give a explanation as to how all this is happening. All I can say is that Drac, if that is to be his name, I'm pretty sure it is though, mentions that these people were casted off. So it makes me wonder, like, maybe along the way people woke up from the cryogenic stasis and sort of were chucked off of the ship or something. And maybe we take a time jump forward and they've built a lot of infrastructure already. That would be quite interesting, I reckon. We see over here, like, this is all very Star Wars. As of now, Aaron Flynn and Mac Walters have addressed the kind of weird facial animations on the main character, that they're still working on it. But it's always been a kind of trope from BioWare games. I don't know. Aaron Flynn was talking about using mocap on the faces this time around, but it looks as though, being their first time, they haven't particularly perfected it. But hey, that's not, you know, not the whole game. So as long as it looks decent, it's cool. Not distracting. This environment, like, you know, we see we've got shops over there, a bunch of different places to go. Really nice environment layout. Like, this is classic Mass Effect, but dirtier, which is like, it's just a cool concept. It really is. Like, the way it's all like drawn out, like, you can see this being a piece of concept art, and then actually made. It seems like you can imagine it, because it's very much how someone would draw this out, like, in terms of visual style. This is really interesting, like, representation of that. Once again, all the texture mapping on the environments is insane. Over here, like, this looks like such a cool little shop area, like it's totally Star Wars. Classic sort of cinematic Mass Effect cutscene. Wonder if they're Blue Sun or not. And here is our first example of the dialogue wheel. Now, in this game, they've taken out the Paragon and Renegade options and replaced them with a bunch of different decisions that you make depending on how you actually feel, I guess, in the moment. Like, if you're a bit pissed off with this character, you can tell them to go fuck themselves. If you, like, want to play it smart, you can sort of suck up to them. All I can hope is, I'm okay with taking away the Paragon and Renegade options as long as our decisions in dialogue still affect the way people see us. And also the investigative bar that used to be on the left-hand side. A lot of that stuff is like, if you were chasing someone in the other games, the more you learn about them from people, or learnt about a situation you're going into, it gave you more options, more dialogue options and stuff like that when you, like, replayed it, I guess, like, because that's when you notice it. And especially playing through the game recently, I want that option to return, because that is a very cool sort of aspect of the older games. An awkward pose there. First example of a, you know, quick time event. Proves whether you're a badass or a goody two shoes. Here's the not Mako. The Mako without a gun. Looks like it handles pretty well, because that always kind of pisses me off in video games when things like that don't handle well. And here we see a new gameplay mechanic. Is like a detective mode for, like, space people, which is pretty cool, because the first example we ever saw of this was in Mass Effect 3 with the Leviathan DLC, and that was pretty good there, but it was in a different way, obviously. But it was very much like how you would imagine. It's like the Batman way of detective mode, without the, you know, glass lenses on your eyes. But this here looks very interesting. This is a gameplay mechanic that I would have expected to be in the other games, but I'm happy it's here. Once again, look at all the stuff in the environment here. How much do they bring with them? If you look out that side corner of that window back there too, it looks like they're on a bit of a more lush garden planet. Here's our first example of gunplay in the game. Now, I'd say this is more of a Vanguard class. Yes, I know they took the classes away, but if you're going to classify it, that's what it would be. Kind of looks like a hybrid between that new game, Agents of Mayhem, sort of like a third-person Borderlands or Destiny, which kind of worries me, because One of my favorite things in the old Mass Effect games was the tacticality of the gunplay and the squad-based sort of shooter aspect, and I hope that I have the option to play like that, if anything. I mean, I understand it's cool having the intensity of running into battle and stuff, but for my personal preference, tacticality is always going to be my choice. Seems like there's a bit more emphasis on melee combat as well. More beautiful environments, you see. They're definitely very varied. Now here's an aspect that I'm so fucking happy they added back in, man. Because in Mass Effect, from Mass Effect 1 to 2, you play 1 and there's a lot of options, you know, for customization and speccing your character out to how you want him to play. A lot of people didn't go into it enough to really appreciate it, I feel. Then you get to 2, and it's not streamlining. They took all that shit out. It's to the point where it almost didn't feel like an RPG to me. So I'm happy that this stuff's getting added back in. Just trying to pause. Here we go. Here we see the different sockets you can equip for different things. If you look at the tech specs there are on some of the pieces of armor, there's like 10% tech damage, biotic damage, damage protection, you know, blah blah blah, your standard thing, but it does mean that you can spec your characters to how you want to play, I guess. So that's pretty cool. That's a cool aspect. Hopefully that they do a sort of thing like Fallout 4, where it's like you find a piece like an armor schematic or something, and that piece of armor adds to like your health or your, you know, charm or something like that. That'd be really cool. Very nice particle effects and light effects. And the jetpack's really well, like, mocapped. The jetpack looks hell fun. Here we see some of the sort of world bosses that apparently are in the game. Definitely a good example of how different the gameplay is, though. Or, I guess, how you can play it differently. Oh, you fucking got wrecked. And here's a bit more, I guess, standard Mass Effect stuff. The score, I hope this score's in the game, because this is totally Mass Effect. Like, I still want the old Mass Effect score back. And here, we see stealth. This is really promising to me, because you see in the top right-hand corner there, it seems as though you, like, disable the base alarm, so it seems as though you're going for a more stealth approach to this mission. So I really hope that that is an option in the game itself, because coming from stealth games like me, like Metal Gear and Splinter Cell and all that, and generally when I get the choice to play through a game and there's like stealth options, I will pick the stealth option. That's how I go, tactical or stealth, so this is really cool. Leads to a lot of different varying combat. Different melee. A lot of different weapons, the ground pound, and a lightning gun. That's awesome. Oh, these robots fucking bitch you out. I'll tell you something. Robots in the last game, when they used to get close to you, pissed me off enough. Especially playing Vanguard, because, you know, running in there and hitting them with the charge really doesn't do that much. Now they can do that to you. I can't imagine the rage that a lot of my friends are going to feel, and that I'm going to feel when one of them eventually gets me, because it's bound to happen. It's going to be like those games where you die and the sort of the bad guys tease you, except the robot's going to do it just before you die. And here we see the release date has still not been announced. Which is, I understand, because Aaron Flynn's open to the idea of them delaying the game, and that's cool, I understand it, it is their right. But I do hope it comes out. I don't want it to get pushed back to like November or something. Or even before Red Dead. Like, that time zone is way too congested with video games. Like, stuff is released all at the same time, to the point where, like, they'd be better off spreading it out through the year, because then people could actually buy your games. Like, you know, everything just comes out at the end. It's mainly the fault of like games like Call of Duty and Battlefield that just always do that, I guess. But in summation here, I like the gameplay. I like most of it anyway. I like the sense of exploration they've added back in. The graphics look gorgeous. Like I said, though, I do hope that there is a tactical element to gameplay again, because I personally like when I started hearing that their gameplay in the shooting mechanics were more inspired by Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, it started to worry me a little bit, because one of my problems with Dragon Age Inquisition is that it feels like it should be an MMO. Not particularly that it's hard, but the way that it plays feels very much like SWTOR. Like there should be a bunch of different people there like hitting shit with you. Like hitting the bad guys, like when you're in a like big guild battle. Like it just feels like your character doesn't do anything. And you may not read that out of this. But me personally, it feels like the combat's very much in that sort of vein of like a multiplayer setting. And I hope that that's not necessarily the case. But apart from that, positive about everything else. The only thing I have to worry about now is pretty much the story. Because Mass Effect 1 set that bar really high. I don't think there was a story better than the first games. The second one had more of a character-based story, which I can deal with, but I don't think it was as good in terms of writing-wise. Characters was definitely better, but the story itself wasn't the best. And Mass Effect 3's story was almost perfect until the ending. We don't even need to go into. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I broke it down well enough. And remember, like, subscribe. It really helped me out. Just trying to get this YouTube channel started up, and you know, the general thing. You hear it on every channel, but I would really appreciate it. So, guys, have a good one, and I will see you all later.